Hey YouTube, welcome back guys. That video that we just put out was us trying to, well, fight with this little M18 engine to get it to run better. And it does attempt to run, but we had it running better with that vaporizer carburetor that we had on that H73. Granted, it's a little bit too big for it, but I thought, well, maybe I could show you guys how quick and easy they are to make one. And then we're going to get this carburetor off of here. We'll get our fuel tank off. And you guys remember that little M17 that we put a, I'll put a link up here in that corner, that we modified a RC car engine carburetor to fit to it. And that really improved the adjustability on it. So we still have that carburetor that came off of it, this little guy right here, and I think that will fit on here, and then we'll have our throttle adjustment. So all right, with that said, let me get this out of the way. And what we've got is just, well, a baby, wide mouth. I think this is a half pint, and size wise that ought to be more than enough for what we got to do. We've got our carburetor here. You'll just need an 1/8 inch nipple, something brass that you can solder to. Get a valve out here. You're gonna need this is just a 1/8 inch ball valve. You can get these on Amazon. I think I got 4 of them for like 10 bucks, so they're cheap. Here's just a scrap of copper tube, and here's some smaller ones. They'll have these at the hobby shop. They're also inexpensive. And then just a piece of latex tube. And you'll also want a piece of heat shrink, or you could use a hose clamp, but heat shrink, that's what we did. I'll show you on this one. That's what we did here. It leaves a nice edge, and you know that it's sealed off. So all right, well, let me get this stuff out of the way, and we'll get our jar here. And you need 3 holes in it. You need, 1 hole for your dip tube that goes underneath the fuel level to bubble it. And you're gonna need 1 larger one that comes out that your tubing will attach to, that'll go to your carburetor. And then you're gonna need a bigger one yet for that pipe nipple to go in. And then your valve will sit on there, and that will help adjust your mixture rich or lean. So let me get some holes knocked in it, and I'll come back and just kind of give you a quick dirty look at it, and then I'll get it soldered, and we'll get going on that carburetor. We'll try to make this a quick video tonight, and I'll try to edit as much of it out as I can, but I will let you guys know there at the end of the video how long it took to do this. And if you have another carburetor like we do here, there's no reason why you couldn't put it back to the factory the way it's set up, and just experiment and play. If it's a rainy day and you don't have anything going on, it might be a fun project, and who knows, you might think that this is a better way to go. So all right, let me get some holes knocked in this, and I will bring you guys right back. All right, well, we've got our jar, we've got our lid, we've got our 3 holes. I'm sorry about the shine. But our bigger one here, this is just 1/8 inch pipe. And no, we're not going to thread it in there. We're going to solder all this. But that was a 3/8 hole for 1/8 inch pipe. This here is going to be our fuel tube going to the engine. We only want that sticking through just a little bit. The rest of this here, we can do whatever we want with it. It can be any length it needs to be. And then this is going to be our aeration tube. And you want that to go clear to the bottom and then up just a little bit. You don't want to block it off and have it bottomed out on the bottom. Get my paw out of your way. So yeah, just raise that up a little bit off of there, and then we can cut this one off wherever we need it also. So I will get these soldered up, and since this is just copper tube going through sheet metal, this is copper tube going through sheet metal, it's not going to take a whole lot of heat, but we've got this brass right here going into sheet metal, so you're going to want to focus most of your heat onto that brass nipple down here at the bottom, because remember, solder flows to heat. And you know, we're going to be using the, you know, paste flux and, you know, just regular old plumbing solder. I don't know about the lead-free stuff. This is stuff that's been, you know, I've had it for quite a while, and I like it. It flows well and it holds good. We don't need to silver solder any of this, guys, because let's face it, if we've got enough heat for it to melt solder, whatever's inside that jar is going to burn. So the solder joint's not going to make much difference. So I will get these soldered, and we'll be back. We're about 3 minutes into this construction so far, and a lot of that was just finding the right size drill bit. So, all right, we're moving right along. I'll get these soldered in. I'll show you guys what we got next. Okay, well, we've got all of our solder joints done. A good trick is you're gonna want to try to keep this seal right here from getting melted. And the way I found that works good for doing that is, you know, I'll show you that. This was the air cleaner cover that was on that. That was just the right space to put in the center of here and hold that, you know, our bubble pipe up off the bottom. But anyhow, what I was talking about is to save this rubber seal, since we're not applying a whole lot of heat to the lid itself, which I got to get all that flux off of, is to leave that on there and then put your band around it and screw it down. That jar itself, since we're not putting direct heat on the glass, will act as a heat sink and save that rubber seal. I mean, you can tell that we got it pretty warm. Got warm enough to melt solder, but our seal ring is still good. So I'll get this off of here, and we'll get these here knocked down to a more manageable size. We'll get our valve on there, and then we'll go over here and pull our carburetor off of there and see if that one off the M18 will fit. All right. Well, we've got both of these cut down to length now. We left this one longer than we probably needed to, but all right. Well, if you guys can see the bottom of there, but you know, that damn glare. Anyhow, that's not quite touching the bottom. You don't want it to touch the bottom because, well, that's where the air is going to be coming through, because this here is going to have our mixture on the top of it, and that's how we can control our mixture. But if that's corked off, the engine can't breathe, period. So, all right, we'll set that little guy out of the way. Let's bring our engine up here. And, you know, you guys were curious as to, well, one of you were at least, as to how much it cost for that setup there, the materials. And I told him, you know, the most expensive thing you're always going to have in a project is your time. What is your time worth to you and everybody else? But material-wise, I mean, you saw what we started with, and we still have enough here to make another one if we need to. And, you know, ball jars, you screw the lid up, not a big deal. The lids are cheap, and unless you drop this, you're not going to break it. So, I mean, you can, it's not bad, guys. So, all right, well, I'll stop rambling, Matt, get after it. I'll pull these here off. We'll get our fuel tank out of the way. We're going to start getting our carburetor off. Let's get that off, and I'll show you guys what we have. We got this all loose, and we are in luck. This is threaded. So we won't need any of this fuel mixture adjustment. And what I did on that H73 is I took all of this out, made a brass plug, put it in there, and then soldered it in. So that way we knew we had no air leaks. But what we're going to do is we're just going to cork this off, you know, screw that down tight so we know we don't have any air leaks. We'll get this little guy threaded in there, and then we're going to keep moving on our fuel tank. This is just trials, guys. That's all we've got going on right now. There, we know that's tight. down is wide open, up is idle. You guys can see down in there. So this is our idle position. That's wide open. Pretty small hole to see into, but that's how it is. So, okay, let me get this here tight. We'll get some Everclear poured in here, and honestly, guys, I think we're about ready to go. So let me tighten this down. I'm not going to worry about putting thread sealant on it just yet, but that's something we're going to want to do. All right. These valves were cheap, and well, I'm not saying they're good, but they are available. I mean, you can kind of sloppy, but they seal off. So, and a bonus on this carburetor is it's got a longer stem here versus the one that we took off that's just got, you know, just that short shoulder on it. So we'll get this on here, and then this is where our fuel line is gonna go. All right, well, I'm not going to heat shrink this on here yet because, like I said, this is a quick dirty trial. But we'll give him a little bit in the bottom there. I'll get our drill attachment on the drill. We'll put our band back around our cap for our fuel tank. And we'll open our mixture up so it's lean. Run our throttle to wide open. I'll set that down on there. Turn our switch on, and I will get the drill attachment on the drill. We're going to wing it over, and we're going to see what we got. We're going to find out together. I really need to find a bigger drill to start these with. It gets in everybody's way. Okay, here we go, guys. Well, I thought we were really getting somewhere. And it's cold. I haven't touched this thing at all since that last video, so where have we got? Give it a little bit more fuel. Get in there. Well, I gotta push it in. All right. I know we're bubbling. I don't know that we've got our mixture set just right yet, but yeah, scoot you guys to where you can see it. Wide open, idle. Well, there's our problem, guys. Our mixture's too rich, even with that valve wide open. I pulled that off of there, and watch, we'll see if I can do two things at once. I allow it to get some air right there. That's what our problem is. Oh, this in here, well, it's a baby yet, so maybe Everclear's a little bit too strong for it. So Let me dump this out. We'll try some denatured alcohol in it and see what that does. So, I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is just denatured alcohol. And who knows, this stuff might be too stout for it yet too. Like I said, we're finding out together, and I guess this wasn't so much to see how easily it took off and worked. It was to show you guys how easy it was to make one of these carburetors. I guess it's a carburetor. A mixing device. Let's see what it thinks. Denatured alcohol, it seems to like it. Get our tube down on there. Still acts like it's a little bit rich. Let's see if we can get it to suck any air through that fuel valve. There's an air bleed. I tightened that up way too much. That is working as an air bleed. Well, I don't know, guys. What do you think? Not hot at all. Okay, they're just both barely warm. But if we back that screw out that I was intelligent enough to put to the bottom, easy to get to, we could even idle it down even more. Still a little bit fat on the top end. Well, I don't know, guys, but that was probably the longest run we've had on it. But that's how easy it is to make one of these. If you guys have any questions at all, you know, just leave me a comment. Let me know. I'll help you guys any way I can. So, all right. Thanks again, guys. You're fantastic. We'll see you next time. Bye.